May I invite you, dear participants, to think about this, okay? Think about it. If you walk into a classroom of a teacher with strong classroom management skills, with strong classroom management skills, what would you expect the teacher and students to be doing if you walk into a classroom with a strong classroom management skills of a teacher there? What would you expect the students and the teachers to be doing? Type it in the chat box, please. Having fun while learning. Okay, Jennifer, thank you. Mercy, inclusive, collaborative, discipline, brainstorming of ideas, engaged. Very good, very good. But how many of you here actually thought of this? There, do you see those 4 pictures? The students are seated properly, right? Right? The students are seated properly. You can see on the second picture, upper right-hand corner, you can actually see a student actually dozing off, about to fall asleep. But the teacher is in front, okay? The students are engaged. Is there anything wrong with a kind of scenario like this? No, no. But it's always like one way, meaning to say the teacher is the one talking and the students are listening. Now, that's not classroom management. That is not classroom management. Now, I'd like to piggyback on what Celia and Princess actually said. Teacher-centered, engage, relax. I like that word. Communication is happening. That's very good. I'd like you to look at this. I'd like you to look at this picture, the next picture. This one. What can you say about these pictures? Now, these pictures actually show what Celia said or typed in the chat box and what the other teacher participants typed on the chat box. So they said, engaged. You see, the students are not all seated, right? The students are not all, some of them are on the floor. Look at that picture. Some are actually doing different. One group is actually using the computer. The other one is writing. Then the other one is with the teacher on the floor. There's a lot of collaboration happening here. Could you please type in the chat box what you think is happening here? Collaboration, very good. Active learning, correct. I'll just have a drink. Correct. Group interaction, I like that. Active learning, student engagement, fantastic. This is a good group. This is a good group. Do you really need this talk? You really need this talk? Very good. So this is what we want to happen and not this one only. I'm not saying that this is wrong. What I'm saying is that aside from this, maybe you can do more and be like this. Okay? Now, why do we need to change the way we think of classroom management? During the olden times, I've been teaching for 35 years now, and I thought that a teacher was a very good classroom manager if he could make the students be quiet the whole period, because he was scared of the principal who would go around. And now the principal is also as Jurassic as the others. Okay, ang pamantayan ng principal. I wonder what's happening if the students are making noise inside the classroom. Conclusion: the teacher is not a good classroom manager. Wrong. That is why I always tell the principal, get inside the classroom. Don't just walk outside and listen. You have to go inside the classroom and see what the students are doing. Maybe they're making noise. Maybe there's noise, but then the noise is what we call noise of activity and not just ordinary noise. Okay, so again, so what I want to happen right now is you have to need to change the way you think of classroom management. It's not about keeping quiet, keeping still, raising your hand like this. No, it's all about engaging everybody, including the teacher, of course, engaging the teachers, the students, collaborating, group work, etc. We're going to talk about that later. Okay, now, according to Harry Wong also, there are 3 characteristics of effective teacher. And number 1 in his list is this. He is a good classroom manager. A good classroom manager. Number two, he designs lessons to reach mastery. Actually, if you know how to manage the class, you'll be able to do number two and number three very well. But first and foremost, classroom manager. You have to be a very good classroom manager. Then you also need to design a lesson that actually reaches mastery. And then this one is important. This is actually like like an attitude thing, a paradigm. You have to believe, okay, that everybody is capable of learning, and therefore you should have positive expectations of your students. Okay? Now, hindi pwede yung pagpasok mo inside your classroom and then a student introduces himself, but kilala mo yung bata from last year. They say, I know you. You're gonna make my life miserable in this classroom, huh? But you're not gonna succeed because I'm ready for you. That's not a positive expectation. The positive expectation is when you enter the classroom and say, this is such a wonderful class. Everybody is going to succeed. Everybody is going to be happy in this class. Everybody will be successful. Don't you think so? Everybody says, yes, yes. So you motivate the class. That, you know, what you say, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you tell the class, this is going to be a wonderful school year for us. Very good. Everybody will say, yes, it's going to be wonderful school. Now, I remember my professor when I was in college. Okay, so I will not say his name. When we entered the classroom, that was the first day of the first meeting. Then he said, how many are you in this classroom? We were 26. We were 26, and we were college students. Huh? So he said, 26, huh? 26. I think only 15 of you will pass. What? On the first day, you were able to predict that only 15 students would pass your subject? Then he said, yeah, I think, no, looking at all of you, 15 people will pass. But you know what happened at the end of the school year? Only 15 people passed. I'm not saying that manghuhula siya, no? But what I'm saying is it became a self-fulfilling prophecy because when some of my classmates, well, I was one of those who passed, okay? But when I asked my friend who did not pass and I asked him, why didn't you pass? You're intelligent. You know what he said? He said, eh, sabi naman ni sir, eh. Sir said that only 15 would pass. And I counted, and I think, looking at the performances of every one of us, I don't think I could make it. See, only because of that negative comment of the teacher that only 15 people would pass the subject, he included himself among those who would fail. So he thought he was challenging us. Maybe I felt challenged. But for my other classmate, who was my friend, my very good friend, it was not challenging. And only because the teacher mentioned that thing, only 15 will pass the subject. Okay, let's continue. So what is a well-managed classroom? The students are deeply involved with their work, academic and teacher-led instructions. Students know what is expected of them, relatively little wasted time, and climate of the classroom is work-oriented. Is this wrong? No, these are all correct, but there's more to it now. We are in the 21st century, and then we need, according to to a study conducted by Child Trends in 2015, there are 7 critical skills most likely to increase the odds of success across all outcomes in which employers expect employees to have. Now, why is this very important for us teachers to consider? Because these 7 critical skills will have to be learned by the students in the school. Sorry, I have to drink. In the school, whether elementary, high school, college, they have to develop these 7 critical skills because these 7 critical skills are important so that they will be able to join the workforce. Now, what are these 7 critical skills? I'm very sure you're all familiar with this. Number one, can you make a guess? Can you make some guesses? Collaboration, correct. Differentiated collaboration. Can you make a guess? What are these critical skills? What are these critical skills? Can you type it in the chat box? Critical thinking. Connie, you're very good. Critical thinking is one of them. Communication is another. Creativity is another. Oh, the top C's, the 4 C's. Very good. Research skills, etc. Thank you very much for your answers. Actually, the first one is what we call social skills. Social skills are the skills we use every day to interact and communicate with others, right? Now, important, very important, they include verbal and non-verbal communication, such as speech, gesture, facial expression, and body language. Now, teachers, we know the situation right now in this pandemic. It is so difficult to actually provide what we call social skills, right? And for 2 years, we have been online. We have been online. So what happens with social skills of the students? Wala. Most especially the ones who have not actually been in a physical school setup. This afternoon, our registrar was here in the school, and he said that a couple will be coming with their child who's entering grade 2 this coming. We were talking about communication skills, and the difficult thing about developing communication skills. Did we talk about communication skills already? We were in social skills pala, no? Social skills. It's very important that we develop social skills, but it is not so now because of the pandemic. I was talking to you about the story of our registrar who toured a family around our school. You know, when the child stepped inside the school, he cried. He cried. And he is an entering grade 2 student. Now, why? He said, I'm scared. It is so big. So he got used to the home environment. And then he was also like, so mom, are you going to be with me when I go to school? So mom said, no, you're not going to be, I'm not going to be with you. You're going to be alone with your classmates and mom and dad. But social skills. Okay, now be very prepared, ladies and gentlemen. When we go back face to face, especially those who are teaching elementary, it's going to be a big challenge for us on how to win the students back to the classroom. It is not easy. It's not going to be easy. Okay, so we continue now. So the next one, so social skills is important. So we should have a lot of social skills development activities inside our classroom. Next one, communication skills. Now, what are these communication skills? Listening and speaking. Okay, communication skills. You cannot ignore this. This is very important. Okay, so the most important part of communication skills is teaching our children, our students, how to listen. Many of them know how to talk, but they don't know how to listen. It is important for them to know how to listen. Straight talking, okay, is not enough. He has to learn how to stop and listen to the ideas, of his classmates. Now, how can we do this in a pandemic? How can we do this in a virtual classroom? Okay, so this also includes non-verbal communication. For example, your facial expression. I'll show you something. We are actually wired to study the facial expression of people, correct? The facial expressions of people communicate something, and that's part of communication skills. But then the sad thing that's happening right now because of the pandemic is we cover part of our face. Okay. Hi, Zooey. Is that Zooey? Zooey? Hi, Zooey Amber. Okay, so we cover part of our face from nose down to our chin with a face mask. And then what is seen? Our eyes. But they say the eyes are predictors of fear, sadness, and anger. but the predictor of happiness from the nose down to the chin. But you cover it. For example, look at my eyes. I'm going to go closer to the camera. Okay? Am I happy or sad? Jean, am I happy or sad?
Cannot be determined, sir.
Cannot be determined. But look at, but then this is my facial expression. I'm happy because the mouth says it all. The shape of the mouth. If I do like this, even if my eyes are like this, right? So imagine you cover half of your face with this mask, and these children growing up who could not actually filter yet all of this. Why? Because they probably don't have enough experiences looking at faces of people. What happens to a child? For example, you have those who are mothers here, if you have a baby, if the mother or the father will, the child cries. Ah! But if the mother, oh, no more, no more, no more, then the baby smiles. Because you study the facial expression of people. Now, inside the classroom, we communicate that too. Diba? You are the decisive element inside the classroom. What do you communicate? Fear, anger, or empathy, or kindness, or charity. Okay? So let us continue. So we talked about social skills, communication skills. Now, one very important thing also is what we call problem-solving skills. Do you give them opportunities to solve problems inside the classroom? Now, these skills are needed when they go to the work, when they go and apply for work. And the employers take a look at this now. What kind of problem skills does this applicant have? Can he actually solve the problem, right, Princess? Can he or can she solve a problem? No. Okay. Now, but then do we give opportunities inside the classroom to make relationships work by helping our students work together to solve problems? Now that's very important. That's very crucial. Okay? So you know the steps to solving problem. You have to define the problem, gather information, but we do not have to go through that nitty-gritty thing. Sometimes when they go outside and then one student tripped and then nasugatan siya, how do we solve this? That's it. But then these experiences are not there anymore, at least right now, no? Temporarily put into a halt. Why? Because there's no face-to-face interaction. There's no social interaction. That is sad. Now, the other one, critical thinking skills. The key critical thinking skills are, I'm sure you know, analysis, interpretation, inference, explanation, self-regulation, being open-minded, and solving problems is also part of critical thinking skills. Now, I know that your principals or your academic head would probably tell you, your question should always be critical thinking, should encourage critical thinking. So hindi pwede yung mga, who is ganyan, di ba? We know that when we talk about understanding, we talk about the essential. We talk about the enduring. Okay, what is enduring? You need to say what will stay with them even after the lessons have already been forgotten. And that is what is enduring, and that is what's important. Okay, then the next one is very important. For me, one of the most important skills, intrapersonal skills of self-control. If the child cannot control himself, he does not have self-confidence, he's not resilient, bibigay siya. Bibigay siya. Now, I'm not going to go any further. My daughter, okay, who experienced online schooling last year, she was a very brilliant girl. But then when online schooling happened, I don't know what happened. No, but she didn't want to submit work. She didn't want to do this. Until finally, she said, because I miss my classmates, Dad. I miss my classmates. How can I do my homework if I'm alone? How can I? So I had to really like talk to her a lot, no, and condition her that this is gonna be like this for like another year, and then little by little we're transitioning her into the face-to-face. What is important? Grit, adaptability, and all of these are virtues. Remember, persistence, openness to new ideas, listening to other people, considering their points of view. Okay. Now you cannot achieve all of this without any social interaction. Nakakaawa tayo, no? Nakakaawa yung mga estudyante natin ngayon. Okay, next is decision-making skill. Decision-making skills is critical skill for effective management. Okay, so very, very important, no? Like you give them problems to solve. That maybe there's a problem inside the classroom, like a challenge that they have to face. And then the class officers will work together. The class officers will work with the class, and then decisions have to be made and recommended to the class advisor. Ganyan dapat ang nangyayari sa ating classroom. For example, if there is like there's bullying that's happening inside the classroom, do not solve it by your own, on your own. Don't solve it by yourself. You have to involve the students. Say, there's a bully in the classroom. What do we do? Let's help each other. Or even if there's no bully, then you sit down and say, how can we prevent bullying from happening inside the classroom? Okay, so now this can assist, okay, every student, no, when they form actually criteria on what to consider and what not to consider. The next one, which is the last one, the seventh one, it is actually positive self-concept. What does this mean? It is a growing belief about yourself that helps you to cope successfully with the events in your life. For example, if you have a positive self-concept, you will be able to actually hurdle all the challenges. All right? Or since you have a positive self-concept, you know that you have a very good way of understanding yourself. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, ang tingin nyo sa sarili nyo, okay. Okay? So, a person sees herself as an intelligent person. A man perceives himself as an important member of the community. Or a woman sees herself as an excellent spouse and a friend. So, hindi yung, I'm a loser. I'm not gonna be I don't think I'm gonna pass. So positive self-concept is important. So a person thinks of himself as a nurturing and caring person. Now tayo as teachers, no, we should also have positive self-concept. I'm going to teach well. I'm a very good teacher. I can handle this.